you leave everything behind. You're walking cross country, taking it really one day at a time.
You know, it's taking a lot of patience. It's taking a lot of faith, which is something that's pretty new to me. It's taken a lot of grit to push through things like blisters, of course, my body adapting to walking 20 to 30 miles every day.
Wow.
So I got about, let's say 1,400 miles left. I don't know exactly. When I think about 1,400 miles and the next 80 days or however long it's going to take me, and it's like, just keep walking. Just keep taking the step that's right in front of you, and the journey will reveal itself. I'm like, I got to have my shit together. That's it. The story I told myself.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode on Suits and Shoes. And today we have a very special guest that brings a one-of-a-kind stories to each and every one of us in our lives. I want to welcome Tim Perreira.
Pretty good, Perreira.
Perreira.
It's a hard one.
Tim is currently walking across the entire country to raise something that's really important to me, and I think every individual in the world, and that's mental health. So, Tim, you leave everything behind. You're walking cross country, taking it really one day at a time. What does it take to accomplish such a great feat?
You know, it's taking a lot of patience. It's taking a lot of faith, which is something that's pretty new to me, and surrendering to this whole process.
Wow.
It's taken a lot of grit to push through things like blisters, of course, my body adapting to walking 20 to 30 miles every day.
Wow.
You know, it's taken a lot of physical discomfort, but it's also taken a lot of, I think, willingness to accept help from others too. So it's been this really cool storm of a lot of things that are seemingly in contrast of each other, paradox, you know, kind of, everything that's come up so far. So that's kind of where I'm at. Let's
go back to where it all started. I know for me, we were talking about the song by Mike Posner, and I know so many times when I'm about to accomplish something big, I remind myself of his lyrics. You know, life is, I'm only here for a moment, and it's all gonna disappear. And that really helps me, like, start a new business venture or go and foster kids, and, you know, getting ready to adopt. What did it all look like for you when you were starting this journey?
I think, you know, I was at a pretty challenging point in my life. I had dealt with depression and anxiety years ago and felt like I had kind of worked through that. I was building my own business, 2024, and just hit a really rough patch again. Started having suicidal thoughts for the first time. And, you know, I felt like I just wasn't, not that I wasn't doing enough in life, but stuff was just really misaligned.
Yeah.
And this walk actually came across my plate because of Mike Posner. I got back from I got back from this trip I went on to India. That was amazing, really powerful, really just eye-opening. And I was back for like 3 or 4 days, and I saw a video of him. I had never heard of him before either, which is wild.
Yeah.
And he just shared how he walked across the country after his dad passed, and he was going through a really tough time. And the moment I heard him say, walk across the country or walk across America, I felt like I had like a lightning bolt go through my body. And I was like, that's it. You know, that's the thing. I felt like I wanted to take on a challenge for myself that not only kind of gave me a deep reason for being, it gave me a worthy challenge to take on, for one, to kind of see not just what I was made of in a way, but really use it as a forcing function to, I think, deepen self-discovery, and kind of put it that way. And wanted to use it to raise awareness and money for men's mental health and suicide prevention because of what I had been through.
That's intense. Like, listening to what sparked it, it almost makes me feel like maybe it's time for me to do a cross-country walk. We know I think Steve is the individual right now that, you know, he realized, wow, I might not have a lot of life left. Let me get in my sailboat, cash in my 401k, and do this and go from Portland to Hawaii. What does one need to know? I mean, to accomplish a trip like this,
Yeah.
to do it right, and to make sure that it's beneficial and not halfway through, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, be lost and further away from hope than when they
Yeah.
started.
You know what's so crazy is, and it's still to this day, is when I think about all that I have left. I'm a little over the halfway mark now, right?
Wow.
So I got about, let's say, 1,400 miles left. I don't know exactly. When I think about 1,400 miles and the next 80 days or however long it's going to take me,
Yeah.
it's overwhelming. How am I going to plan this? How am I going to get across this bridge? Where am I going to find a place to stay, or who's going to help drive a support vehicle on a really tough road?
Yeah.
And it gets pretty overwhelming. But if I distill it down just to today, just to be like, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen 10 days from now, but today I can walk 25 miles.
Wow.
I can find a place to stay tonight. It's this amazing perspective shift that immediately kind of drops all the fear and anxiety.
Yeah.
And is just like, I mean, it's a cliche to say, take it one day at a time, right? Focus on the process or enjoy the journey. But this walk has shown me that in such an extreme way, where it's like, yeah, I know I can wake up sore as shit, like maybe don't even have enough food to get to lunch, or not know how things are not knowing where I'm going to sleep at night, which has happened plenty of times. And it's like, just keep walking, just keep taking the step that's right in front of you, and the journey will reveal itself. And it always has. And it's been amazing, right? To really distill it down, just to like, I can get through today.
Yeah.
I know I can do that.
Well, I think I'm going to start quoting you, man, whenever people ask me about my business and how I'm growing it.
Yeah.
And I always say, we're building $1 billion business. And right away, how are you doing it? How much investors do you have? How much this? I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, like, I can sit here and like make up all this cool stuff I learned in business school, but end of the day, we literally take it one day at a time. There's been times I try to do a week at a time, and I just get overwhelmed.
You're overwhelmed, right?
And it's like,
so yeah.
I mean, you can plan all you want, but when you're growing 1,036%, there's no amount of investors, no amount of planning, no amount of anything, no amount of mentors and support staff that can get you through it. So you literally have to take it one day at a time.
Yeah. It's the, how I feel it's been a few things I try and do. So I don't listen to anything on this walk either.
No audio, no music, no podcasts.
Nothing.
Wow.
Right. I have one vision playlist that I learned about from my coach, tying music to visualizations you do. Because music is great at like making us feel a lot of emotion. Yeah. And emotion is really key to visualizing something that we want to accomplish or who we want to become, et cetera. So I have a short little vision playlist I listen to maybe twice a week.
Wow.
Or if I'm really struggling on a walk, I'll put that in, but nothing else.
Wow.
And, it's been an amazing experience to just be with all of the negative feelings and emotions and thoughts that come up. Like, holy crap, I got 20 miles left today. I can't believe I got to wake up and do this again tomorrow and the next day. And it starts to become really, really overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so this practice that I work on every single day, right? I don't stop working on it, because if I don't, it comes back. But it is working to just be present, like treating it like a meditation, working to empty my mind as much as possible, to really like be with the space I'm in as I'm walking, just start to empty, and then simply take steps that are aligned action. Like, what is the right thing for me to do here? What is the best thing, I should say? There's not really right or wrong. For my end goal, to get to the other side of the country, to have an impact on people I meet along the way, of course, to raise money, to raise awareness. But, for example, this trip, so no music, no podcasts, audiobooks, anything. I also didn't bring any weapons. I know people like ask how I protect myself on the road. And
wow.
If something crazy happens, like I've trained jujitsu, so I know if it's at least that way, which I know doesn't protect you against everything. But my mission is one of trust, one of surrender, and one of compassion. Right? That's I think what we need as men is that I feel like men have enough toughness and grit, to be honest, and strength, especially that we portray outwardly. Yeah. Where we really need to make up ground is on this fierce softness. Yeah. So not just like a lazy softness or like submitting, but in a way that's intentional. Yeah. So compassion, forgiveness, understanding. And I'm like, that's what I want to embody on this walk.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like bringing, weapons or being scared the whole time
Right.
is going to mirror that. So there's a few things I think of, like, for me to really, I guess, achieve the goal of not just finishing the walk, because it's not a race,
Yeah.
but the impact or the movement or what I want it to do for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not always compassionate and forgiving, and sometimes I snap at people, but it's like, this is a way to really take it one step at a time to build this $1 billion walk, if you will.
That's so powerful. I know many a times whenever I connect with individuals from around the world, and it's mostly men 25 to 45 years old. That's kind of been my demographic.
Yeah.
And they put off this like really professional LinkedIn or an Instagram that sometimes make me think like, wow, I'm living the wrong life here. Like they have it made. And they'll send me these long messages of how vulnerable they are, how depressed they are. I remember once doing a podcast with a individual who's now become a close friend of mine. He had less than 1% body fat, super fit, running triathlons, jets, yachts, hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate, and then he tries to commit suicide.
Oh.
And it makes you question, like, what is mankind? What is the human body missing today in a world and time where we have everything?
Yeah.
I mean, look at just how fast we're moving. Before, if you and I wanted to connect, I need to somehow find out how to get a letter to you.
Yeah.
I would probably address it to your name and mail it, and a month later, via Pony Express or train, it would get there, and then they'd have to track you down, and then if you just walked on a walk across America, you wouldn't get the letter for a year.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to telephone and now text, and it's like boom, instant. Yet there's so much progression in technology, but it feels like it's the opposite effect on mankind.
Yeah.
Looking at suicide rates, depression, and everything that's going on in the world. From what you've learned thus far, what do you feel like is causing that opposite or negative effect on the human mind or the human nature today?
I mean, I think you bring up some really good points. And I think society has become so individualistic, especially in the West. Yeah. You just look at how people live now. It's like we have properties with fences and houses and walls keep people out. And even inside the walls, like families live and exist in separate rooms. And it's like,
wow,
don't come in my room.
Right.
And like, believe me, I love my privacy and I love, alone time.
Yeah.
But for a species that really was created as a communal species, like we're meant to be in community with one another, not really when it's just convenient, but actually the opposite.
Yeah.
When it's hard, when it sucks, like when we need somebody to be there for us, we're built to be like, we're social creatures, right? And so we are really designed to not only be in community, but everybody to have specific roles within the community.
Yeah.
And that has really kind of been dismantled in a way. So you start to see men that almost feel like they don't have a place. They don't know where they fit in. Yeah. They don't feel valued or even utilized really well, right? Because society has kind of created this mold out of nothing on how we should be. Oh yeah, it should be the boat, the fancy car, that you make this much, you have 7 passive income streams, whatever. I mean, you've seen there's so many different variations of it. And, when you don't have that, but that's kind of what, has been projected onto you, you start to just question maybe your value or your role in community, and then not having others, that you can lean on or that you can talk to, or even elders, right? Who you can go to for advice. The elder aspect of our community has been stripped away, for the most part. In the West, people treat old people like, going to the retirement home, where you see in indigenous cultures or other cultures throughout the world where, they cherish and have reverence for elders because of all the wisdom they have, from life. So I think there's a lot of factors to it. It's not just one thing. And it's all driving this, this cheap connection, this fake connection, right? If you post a picture and I just hit a like button, and you get like a digit, oh, you have 1 like now on your photo. Like that's not real connection.
Right.
And I think, I don't think it's a bad thing that this is the way society has gone, because really what it's doing is it's brewing a very, very deep and needed lesson that we're going to have to learn collectively at some point. So it has to happen this way, it feels, for us to really be able to get back to the things that matter, matter most, and bring us closer together than further apart. And then you have social media, which is all about comparison, and you have media outlets, and obviously politics is, we won't go into politics. It's such a hot topic, but you see what they try and do is just drive a wedge between people, and that in itself creates this illusion of separateness from others. So then you start to feel lonely. You're not having the purpose. You're not having the connection. You have nobody you can lean on. You don't know who to go to for advice. And you're seeing that, it's an epidemic.
I was reading an article recently, and it said that 99% of Americans aren't living to their fullest potential. And it really made me dive deep into studying, like, why are people not living to their fullest potential? And what I have found, and I'm actually writing a book about it right now, is that false narrative of success today in regards to men. What is it? An exotic car, $5 million. Multiple homes, yacht, jet, etc., etc. And then I look online and I'm like, there's only, of 8 billion people, approximately 3,782 people that have that. That's one of 1%, 0.04 times. So that's one of 1%. So it's a false narrative. And it seems like social media, again, I don't know what Mark's and these other fellas' intention was behind creating it, but it's backfired. I remember in college, I was living with a young man from Rwanda, and he was getting his PhD. I was getting my bachelor's, and we were rooming together. And one night we were talking about, what is your goal and values in life? At that point, I already had the false narrative: the jet, the house, the wife, the kids, white picket fence, go. And then I'm listening to him, and for him, he's like, well, I have 3 goals in life. I'm like, all right, what are they? He's like, I really want to have my own well. I want to have a home, and I want to have a family. And I'm like, oh, like, it shook me. Like, imagine if we go back to what do you need? You're walking cross country. You don't have a support vehicle. You don't have a helicopter escort, drone, security, weapons, surplus
no film
of
crew.
No film crew. You're not Snapchatting your way out of it. You're just doing it for you. You made a statement a couple of times, and I completely disagree. You said, I look homeless. And I'm thinking, no, I think you look pretty cool. Like, you'd find us, you're the perfect demographic for our vehicles. And it's like that false narrative. Like, how does one overcome to where he or she can go back to their roots? And like, what do you really need in life? Do you really need all these things social media portrays? Because statistically speaking, it's impossible. That same article, it broke down like the chances or likelihood of becoming a president or becoming an astronaut. And I started running the numbers, and I'm like, wow, you have a better chance of becoming the president of the United States than you do becoming that next billionaire, or you have a better chance of going to the moon than you do winning that lottery ticket. So why every morning, instead of reading a book or going on a walk or reading the Bible or doing some soul searching, are you rushing to get that lottery ticket? How does one overcome that chase of a lottery ticket future?
And I think one of the first things is just questioning where the story came from. When did you learn? The question I love asking people is like, when did you learn that who you are isn't enough? At what point in your life, were you 7? Were you 8? Was it, when your parents opened your report card and you got scolded for getting a few C's? Whatever it is, it looks different for everybody. But like we have that moment where we realize like we felt severe disappointment. We felt like I'm not good enough. I didn't do good enough, or I have to do these things to get love, attention, acceptance, whatnot. So I think starting to put that in your atmosphere, I guess, and just starting to be more aware of it and ask those questions like, when did I first start believing that this was the way? When did I start believing this narrative? When did I adopt this? And then starting to look at, why do I feel like that's important? What am I making that mean about me? Or what will it mean about me if I get it? Right? Am I going to be successful, liked, loved, whatever it is? And I think starting to deconstruct that whole theory by just poking holes in, the validity of it, the source of it, and recognizing, at some point just unconsciously started to believe it. I have a client of mine who's in my men's group who, you know, he just shared the other day how he's like, I have this weird, feeling that I need like 4 passive income streams. And he's like, and it's literally been like eating away at me that I don't, or that he has 1.
Wow.
I think, and from a perspective, she has so much going for him.
Yeah.
You know, he's in a great relationship. He's got a job that pays the bills. He lives in a really cool city. He's got a great apartment. He's healthy, and
He's trying to give up 80% to pursue a 20% almost like phenomena.
Yeah. It's that never enoughness feeling. Because, if being a billionaire was it, all billionaires would be like the happiest people on the planet. And that's just,
it's false.
It's just not the case. And so, my friend explains it as like the when then thing. Like when I get all this, then I'll be okay, happy, loved, like insert it. And I think, just realizing that's not how it works. And for some people, they can't realize it before it happens. Like they have to get it and learn the hard way.
Yeah.
I know that's what happened with me. I had to start to be on the path and start to get all the things from a material standpoint. Externally, the life looked good. And I'm like, why on the inside do I feel like I'm on a free fall right now where everything else is going up? Yeah. And something's off. Yeah. But yeah, we got to get back to I think our roots.
Yeah. I like how you earlier said, when we were walking around, you mentioned that the shoulder to shoulder concept. I know for me, we do a lot with Warrior's Journey, which is a nonprofit that helps veterans and active military and their families to connect with people that are either going through or have gone through what they are going through. And instead of like the traditional VA or suicide hotline, which I don't doubt they do and play their important role, but you call in and it's like a questionnaire, and it's like almost from how I felt, it was like, select A, B, C, or D. Do you feel this, or this emotion? I'm like, I just want to talk to someone. Like, can I just like connect with someone and like share my feelings and relate and have a good experience and a good time? Like, I'm not wanting to fill out a questionnaire. What is your view, or kind of? I'd like you to expand on what you meant by that shoulder to shoulder and how important it is for men and I think women as well that are struggling with mental wellness in their lives.
Yeah, I think I had heard this quote, the one you're referring to, is like, men don't heal face to face, they heal shoulder to shoulder. And that really hit me when I heard it, because I think back to when I was struggling most between 2016 and 2020. And I just felt so isolated, so alone. I was like, I didn't want to share with anybody because I'm like, I got to have my shit together. That's it. The story I told myself. And I'm like, I don't want to burden my friends, family with stuff. Like, I got to figure it out on my own, which I think is a really common thing that men, kind of a guise that men kind of hide behind. Yeah. And so I always think back to then, if I'm writing something, if maybe I'm making a video, if there's a purpose for this walk, how could I do it in a way that would have resonated with me then? Because I didn't reach out to get help. I didn't tell anybody. And I'm like, if I would have seen somebody or heard somebody tell the story that I saw myself in, that I looked up to as a role model, that I was just like, oh man, this guy, he looks like he's got it all on paper and he's saying that he's struggling. And I think there's something powerful there. That's the shoulder to shoulder piece. Yeah. It is, in a way, meeting men where they're at, wherever they're at. And I think what it does most is it creates spaciousness for guys to realize that they're not the only ones going through it. Yeah. Not only like what they're going through is not unique. Yeah. It can be very painful and be a lot of suffering and, obviously not want to go through that, but they're not alone with it. And I think when guys can understand that by somebody else telling a story, by somebody sitting on the same side of the table as them, they're being like, hey, I've actually been exactly where you're at, or I still struggle with that sometimes. Yeah. It immediately allows them to let some walls down because they don't feel so alone with it. Because that loneliness in our experience can just put up these massive walls. Yeah. and cause men to self-isolate
Yeah,
a lot more.
it's definitely a thing that is a big problem, and the more people that I meet, the more quickly do I realize like this is a serious thing. Like it's almost like
Yeah,
another um, pandemic.
yeah,
I remember recently I had a kind of middle-aged man reach out to me on one of my platforms, and he's like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me or not, but a year ago I reached out to you and I requested if you could sponsor someone to go to a men's retreat where they help executives and business owners overcome depression, anxiety, alcohol, drugs. And I asked you to sponsor somebody, and I'm reading this and I had a flashback. I'm like, yeah, I remember you did. You're the president of so and you have such a cool story. And I'm like, I love following your page. And then I keep reading it. And he's like, that guy was me. And my heart just sank. And he's like, I was at the lowest point of my life. And I didn't want to tell you it's for me. I was about to lose like family, business, alcohol was getting the best of me. And
wow,
I just want to tell you, thank you. You changed my life. And I'm like, wow. Like how many I was at once that guy and someone took that chance on me. But surely there's
man,
more we can do because I mean, there's only so many Tims and Pavels out there that feel the boldness to post about it on social
yeah,
media, feel vulnerable enough to share their stories. Is there something else out there that can be done to help almost trigger that within a man and or woman to just open up and talk to someone and
yeah,
connect? Like, I genuinely think there's good people everywhere.
yeah,
I agree with you that social media and mainstream media has made it seem like the world's falling apart.
yeah.
It's like that big and country song where if you live on the morning and evening news, all hope and humanity is lost, or
Oh
hope and life
man,
is lost.
yeah,
I've met genuine good people everywhere. Like
everywhere.
one of my best interactions that I've had probably in the last year was with someone at Walmart. It was an old lady, and she was checking out my groceries at Walmart. And I just looked at her and she was so jolly and so nice. And I'm like, ma'am, do you want to come work for us? We're looking for a receptionist. And she says no. And I'm like, whoa, like I wasn't quite at that season of my life used to rejection. And I'm like, I'll double your pay and double your benefits. And she looks at me and she's a big old smile. And she's like, young man, it's not about the money. I'm like, tell me more, because I have employees and people
Wow,
in my life that are constantly complaining about pay. And she breaks it down for me. She's like, I have a nice home. I have a nice retirement. I have my used car that I'm happy with. I have some grandkids that love me. I have a great culture and team that I work in. She's like, I have everything I have. And she goes, no amount of money could change that. And the contrary, if you were to double my pay, I'd have to restructure my entire life. And she's like, I don't need anything else. And I'm like, wow, this old lady is more
she's
happy and
got it.
content than me. Like, I
Yeah,
need to come work for her
yeah,
and learn from her. How does one reach that state? How does one achieve that in their life?
yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of the age-old question of why we're here. I think the simplest answer is to remove the things that aren't you, right? And there's a lot of different modalities and ways you could do it, but I think it's like some of the core principles of, for example, like Buddhism is like life is suffering, and the mind creates suffering. The things that we attach to. I heard this idea of like, life is full of rings, and the hooks are on our body.
Wow.
So we're the ones that become attached to, an image, to a certain amount of money, to this, like we were talking about earlier, the narrative of how we feel like we need to live our lives.
Yeah.
And so I think the process, and really has been my main personal work on this walk, is introspection, is mindfulness, is presence, that's why I talk about clearing the mind, is, flushing out, being aware of, I should say, the thoughts and beliefs and the things that drive me into, whether it's a stressful state, the things that keep me up at night, the thoughts of like, how am I going to make money when I get back, or, whatever. Like,
No.
and I think this process of eliminating those hooks on our body, which just would be our attachments to certain things or certain ideas. That doesn't mean you can't have stuff, of course,
No.
but it's the attachment to it. So for her, just to be fully content with everything she has probably is a representation of a life of work,
Yeah.
of learning like what really matters, what do I really need, and constantly asking that question. How do I want to live? When I left tech sales, and the first company I started in 2020 was a clothing company. And when I was in tech sales, I thought I needed to make like a few $100,000, in order to keep up my kind of my style of life, if you will. And then I get out and I'm making clothing, and I'm like, I found purpose again. I'm so much happier. I'm creating every day. It was really hard. I was trying to manufacture overseas, source materials overseas, all in COVID. So I wasn't traveling anywhere either.
Right.
But it was a new challenge. It was just, I was doing something I was passionate about. I wanted to make athletic wear for men, and the company being more about total wellness, mental health, and everything. Yeah. And anyway, and in that process, I was so much happier, and I realized how much I really needed to make to just pay bills and live this life and have kind of a free schedule and pay for stuff I needed was like less than a third of what I thought I needed to make before.
Yeah.
And so it was just the point of that is it was this massive reset, and I felt so much more peace with where I was and the path I was on and what I'm doing. And even more so now with this walk, I'm like, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, when I am done with the walk, I'm actually going to go to Austin and sell all the stuff from my storage unit. I've told you a little bit, I want to travel the US in a camper van for 12 months, more or less, meeting men and everywhere and doing these little events. But I think it's just a practice of mindfulness. I think slowing down a lot. I would say more tactically, getting off of screens, getting away from news, getting away from social media, so you can be present with what is actually happening on the inside and not just be bombarded with, with inputs from all these different things.
Yeah, one of my friends and his wife went through a similar. He was 16 years professional baseball player.
Wow.
In his prime, played with Tim Tebow, and just a very successful individual. And he got to a point in his life where he too was like, I'm going to go with my wife, and we're just going to go take a trip on an adventure van. And they get into the adventure van, and now they're 4 years later still living
No way.
out of it. Yeah.
I get it. I see it.
I listened to his lifestyle, and I'll admit, dude, there's envy. There's envy. I'm like, and I tell him all the time, dude, I'm really jealous of what you're able to do. Like, you don't have to worry about making sure your lawn is manicured and making sure your bills are paid and making sure your roof isn't leaking. And it's like you're tired of the beach, you go to the mountains. You're tired of the mountains, you go there. And I'm like, that's the American dream right there. That lifestyle of just being completely free.
Yeah.
I remember recently sitting down with one of my high school friends, and he pulls up this illustration on his phone, and he's like, Pavel, here's the sandbag theory. And I'm like, no, do tell me more. And it's an illustration of a big hot air balloon. And it's nice and colorful, and it's got this pretty basket. And from each basket, there's a string with a basket full of sand. And these sand bags or these sand baskets underneath the main basket have a box where you write down everything that's holding you down. And I was reading at each one of the things that he filled out that are weighing him down, and I'm like, man, imagine living a life like that, full of the feeling that I think there was 7 or 8 sandbags holding down his inflatable hot air balloon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't imagine living a life feeling like you're weighed down by sandbags. I mean, imagine how depressing and miserable that is. So many times when young men reach out to me and, oh, we want to live your lifestyle, we want this and that, I start off by telling them like, hey, can I give you a day in my life? And I walk through a day in my life, and I see their eyes go up and like, yeah, we don't want that. And so I'm like, let's break down what you want. Like, why do you want what I have? What my vision, my journey is so different from yours.
Yeah.
And finally, I just made a spreadsheet. And so what we do is we write current lifestyle and then dream lifestyle. And it's like almost like a Dave Ramsey budget style.
Yeah.
And we get specific, like what home are you living in now, and what is your dream home? What car do you have now? What car do you want to have?
Yeah.
All the way down to hobbies. How much is your hobby cost? How much is your spouse's or your kids' hobbies? To the detail. How many times are you going out a month? How many times do you want to go out a month? And it's so inspiring, or I guess it marvels me to see what the average dream costs. So I've done this with probably, I'd say over 1,000 individuals.
Yeah.
Ranging from my little brother John, who's 15, to my dad who's 70, like different walks of life, their average dream lifestyle comes out to 300,000 a year. And I'm like, well, first you got to realize that entry level doctors and attorneys don't make that.
Yeah.
So if you want to make 300,000, like you got to completely shift careers, shift where you're going, maybe start a business, maybe move and find a job that pays that. But let's break it down even further. What did you think your dream lifestyle would cost? 99% of people tell me $1 million. I'm like, you thought your dream lifestyle costed $1 million. We just broke it down. Now you think it costs 300,000. Do you think we can break it down even further? And I start asking, what's wrong with your current house? Did you know this new house, a push mower won't work, you need a zero turn. So now we got to readjust your budget. So now it's not 300,000, it's 325,000 because you need to go buy a zero turn and or pay landscaping. Do you really? Oh, I didn't think about that. What about cars? You're not happy with your car right now. You want this car. Did you take into account taxes, insurance, all the maintenance and everything? And then by the time we come back, and like we get really zoomed in, like I've given a big picture overview. Like this is really like dive deep in 1 hour conversation.
Yeah.
Of everyone that I've talked to, all 100%, everyone I've talked to is making more than what they truly need. And so we work backwards from I need $1 million to now I need 300,000 to now you make more.
Yeah.
I did it with one of our technicians recently. It was the funniest story ever. We break it down. He's complaining that he doesn't have enough money. We budget out his lifestyle, do some financial planning. Turns out we were paying him $3 an hour more than he was needing. And I'm like, where's this money going? He's like, I don't know. I still don't think I'm making enough. I'm like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Take the last 90 days of your bank statements. So 3 months of bank statements. Here's a yellow highlighter. I give them a yellow highlighter. I'm going to go through and highlight every extra expense. Comes back maybe 2-3 days later. I see he's still kind of sad. And I'm like, hey, did you find this missing money? Because we counted you're making $3 an hour more than what you actually need. So you should have a nice savings account. And he goes, oh, my wife was saving it, not telling me. So it's like, imagine like how long he was sad, not knowing his wife. Thankfully his wife wasn't spending it. She was saving it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing that his wife is saving it. But just like really breaking it down, not just financially.
Yeah.
Like friends. Sometimes you're so isolated because you think you need so many friends.
Yeah.
But let's break it down. Like really, like if you could draw up your dream friends. I don't know what it's like for you. For me, I find that really, I think 2 to 3 like-minded men. Yeah. I'd be like Lewis and Clark the rest of my life. I'd be pretty happy, explorer. What do you think for you on that? Breaking it down, how many like money-wise and friend-wise do you think one really needs in life?
I mean, it's so funny. I was in India in November of last year. And it was just such a contrast from where I grew up, from the States and everything. And I think one of my biggest takeaways there, and of course they have their challenges and problems and whatnot, we do too, but was how like content and at peace people were, and like loving and welcoming. And it just was one of those experiences that I went through where it just kind of hit me. I'm like, yeah, if these people are able to walk around and like engage with one another and like nobody's really walking around looking super stressed out, like they got to go earn more, they got to do this. Yeah. I'm like, it just shows it's not about what is going on externally, and I think what we lack, maybe as a culture or society is a lot of gratitude, for what we have, the luxuries we have, the freedom that we have in this country specifically too. And I love the idea of being like, what's wrong with your house? Like you have a place you get to wake up. Like I have such a greater appreciation for being able to take a shower now, or use a toilet. I've had my shovel toilet for plenty of nights to where now I'm like, oh my gosh, man, like to be able to have, an indoor toilet or a porta potty even, I'm like, this is amazing. So I think that's, I love that idea of looking at like, let's look at what you have now, and expressing, because it's just perspective. That's all it is. It's not actually about the end stuff. It's not about how much money it is. It's not even about the things you think you want. It's about your perspective with it. That's what creates our experience. Yeah. And so it's this constant process of coming back and being like, where did that come from? Because it's just perspective. Yeah. Thinking you need something. It's okay to have desires and wants, but it comes back to also that attachment. So yeah, I don't know. There isn't a number,
I like
really.
that.
And in terms of close friends, like, yeah, I would say like one close friend is worth a million times more than having 50
Yeah.
okay friends.
No. Facebook friends.
Facebook friends. Definitely worth more than 50 Facebook friends.
Yeah,
That's for
I
sure.
took social psychology in college, and I remember when my professor flipped my world upside down, explaining the cup half full theory. And he's like, pulls up a big glass of water on the screen, probably 300 kids in the auditorium, and it's filled up halfway. And he asks everyone who thinks the glass is half full, raise your hand. And I'm one of many that raises their hand. And then everyone who thinks it's half empty, raise your hand. Like a third of the class raises their hand. And it's like a pause. And he looks at us and he's like, who has to say it's half full or half empty? Why can't we just say there's water in the glass?
Yeah.
And he gave the example of, I forget the name of the theory, and it states that if you look at what you don't have, you are one of the pessimistic people. And that leads to anxiety, depression, and so forth. If you look at only what you do have and or backwards or at the past, you're experiencing anxiety and depression as well. And so whether you're looking at the cup half full or half empty, he's like, both views, and everyone that raised your hands, you guys are all in the wrong. Yeah. He's like, there's water in the cup. That's it. Like, why are we measuring how much there is or how much there isn't? Yeah. And he said, in order for you to be truly happy in life and not experience anxiety or depression, meaning you're not looking forward ahead in the future, you're not looking into the past, you ought to be content with the exact state of mind and situation that you're in. Yeah. And it was so inspiring to me how he continued to break it down even more from that. He's like, whether you're in a good season of your life or a bad season of your life, whether you're going through sickness or good health, he's like, it's just different chapters throughout your life. Yeah. And you got to learn just to be thankful and content with that state that you're in, whether it's a lot or not a lot. Yeah. And that's really been the forefront of being able to lead a business and sleep at night. I think that's the first thing executives and business owners ask me is like, what keeps you up at night? And I'm like, nothing. And they look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah, the lightning woke me up last night here.
Yeah, tornado season.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me, like, there's things that keep people up at night, and it's almost like a pity to me, and I want to help them more to understand, like, it doesn't matter. Like we were talking about Mike and his song, like, you'll blink and this will all disappear. And really, what impact did you leave? How did you live your life? I told you about my grandma.
Yeah.
I mean, she said life flies by in a blink of an eye. She was 93 years old.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think it's just looking at what is. Yeah. It's whatever is right in front of you. And the thing that turned was my epiphany in 2020 when I started to turn the corner from depression was the exact same idea. It was everything in life is neutral and the mind creates meaning, good or bad. Yeah. And at the time, my reaction to it was like, oh my gosh, it's me. I'm creating all of this pain. Yeah. I'm creating how I'm viewing things. I'm creating this, this world or this narrative or this avatar where I think I need to be already, and I'm not there. And because of that delta, I suffer, or even, one of the things with this walk has been, it's obviously easy to be walking across country if you feel good, if you feel happy, if you're like having a good time, people wave to you. Yeah, exactly.
Cameras clicking.
But what happens when, it's hot or you're in a lot of pain or you wave to people and they look at you like
Has anyone called the cops on you yet?
Nobody's called the cops. I've had a couple stop, but they were friendly. I got one guy flipped me off yesterday for the first time. But
worst timing too.
Yeah, I think he was joking or he thought I was somebody else. Yeah, it was for no reason. Yeah. But is the ability to be. I love the question, can I be with this? And typically, I'll ask that when things are really hard or I'm struggling. And the idea behind the question is like, can I just be present with this? I don't have to want it. I'm not saying I prefer to feel this way or to go through this in life or be in this chapter, but the chapter is the happening. And the reality of it is like, maybe I feel a certain way, or, maybe, a tornado hit or storm or whatever thing happened in life, it happened. And okay, I have to deal with it anyway. Can I just bring presence to it?
Yeah.
Right? Can I allow myself just to be with it without the resistance? Because how most people react to something is they don't want something to happen, or they're in a hard situation in life, let's say, and they don't want it. So it creates resistance.
Yeah.
And so they're living in a state of resistance towards what is already just happening. And that resistance is what continues into more and more suffering. And so can we just learn to be more exactly where we're at with what we have? And I think that was a great, like the woman you talked about at Walmart is like embodying that.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what she's doing. She's exactly where she is. Life is how it is. And she's totally at peace with it, and has actually turned it into gratitude and love, just
and
because
it's contagious. Like I remember being there, and it's like, I remember it so vividly, like the high levels of energy and optimism and how excited she was.
Yeah.
And I even made the joke, is this the beginning of your shift? And she goes, no, this is the end. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah. Usually people are, I don't know, not digging the end of their shift, but I think that shows too what really comes from true contentment and presence, where people mistake contentment for complacency or apathy. Like, I don't care. Okay, if I'm content with my life, then I just won't do anything.
Yeah.
And that's not actually what happens, because our true nature, like part of just being a living organism on this planet is creation. Like there's a reason that plants change and grow towards the light. Like we're the same way. Yeah. So when we remove the obstacles and the suffering and the things that really hold us down internally, what actually happens is we start to blossom a bit more. We start to take this creative action, this aligned action in a way, and just start to radiate joy. Yeah. It could be positivity, love.
Yeah, listening to you talk about your walk and how you didn't really plan it out day by day, hour by hour, city by city, and granola bars and snacks and all that jazz. It really makes me think back to that glass. Like, who put measuring lines on our glasses, on our lives?
Yeah.
Like, why, in the words of my professor, why do we put how much or how little or how a lot of water?
Yeah.
Like, was it social media? Was it evolution of mankind, globalization? Like, what is, because we just talked about letters.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember watching a documentary. I forget, I think it was on the Pony Express or some documentary. And I remember tracking this letter until it finally got to the lady. And the lady's like crying as she's reading this letter. And come to find out, it was his son who was at war, got killed. But before he got killed, he sent that letter.
Wow.
And months after he passed away, and she got the news that he passed away, she receives this letter, and she's reading it. And it's such an emotional, such a powerful moment. To fast forward to today, where it seems like text messages have almost no meaning. Like, I tracked on my phone, granted I do everything by text, hour and a half of text a day. I don't remember last time I cried over a text.
Yeah.
It just seems so meaningless, and it's like diluting our communication. It's diluting it. And so going back to that, like, does it matter if your cup's empty, full, something in there, nothing in there? Like, if you run out of water, go to the well, get some more water.
Yeah.
Like, same with money. People get such anxiety. Oh, I have no money in my account. Or I met with a business owner yesterday at lunch, and he's like, man, Paul, anytime my checking account goes under 100,000, I get really stressed out. I'm like, are you listening to yourself? There's a time when I mean, there's people today. I mean, what is the average household income? 55, 60,000.
Yeah.
100,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But even if you run out of money and your account goes negative, who cares? Go sell something in your house. I mean, your house is packed full of stuff.
Yeah.
Marketplace is where it's at. Snap something, put it in a marketplace, sell your couch.
Yeah.
$400-500.
Yeah.
You got $500 in your account. Like, why are you worrying? Why are you stressing? Why do you have all these little measuring increments, and then allowing society to dictate depending on how full it is and how much happiness you have?
For sure.
It's insane to me, just breaking it down and listening to, I think there's a YouTube video that says first world problems.
Yeah.
And these
Yeah.
first world problems, they seem kind of goofy, and you know, I even catch myself in it.
Yeah.
I remember taking one of our newest models out, and the outlet was a little bit higher than our traditional outlets, and I'm like, in my mind, catch myself like, what electrician? What was he thinking when he lifted this outlet? I'm like, my van is an outlet, and I'm in the middle of this vineyard with nothing around, and I have power. Like, be thankful, be
Yeah.
happy. And it's so sad how all this progress, all this globalization has had a negative impact.
Yeah.
Just one thing, depression. I mean,
Yeah.
the rates of suicide, I think right now attempts are 500 a day, and actual
Wow.
suicides like 100 a day in the U.S. alone.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's like, look around you, like open your eyes.
Yeah.
Washing machines, drying machines, like you're not rubbing. I remember in middle school taking a field trip to it's like the little house on the prairie cabin, and it showed pictures of mothers, you know, rubbing to wash their clothes, and you mentioned toilets, and it's like we should be more happy than ever before in our
Yeah.
lives because of all these amenities and pleasures of life that we have. But when you look at the data, when you look at the numbers, I mean, something's not adding up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, it goes back to that idea of things are neutral and the mind creates meaning, and how the mind is wired, how the ego is wired is to to keep itself alive, right?
Yeah.
Psychologically is how it works. Because our egos are our survival mechanism, right? They are an inbuilt mechanism to keep our species alive.
Yeah.
And if they just kind of turned off, right? Didn't constantly look for threats, we could put it that way. Probably our species probably wouldn't keep existing, right? And so if you look at it through the lens, or through that lens of being like, okay, we have these mechanisms and their job is to constantly look for threats. Now, because of modern living, we don't really have the physical threats, as if, you know, we're out camping in the middle of maybe the mountains and living off the land, having to work with or worry about animals and shelter and these like primal needs that we have. But that mechanism doesn't turn off just because we have these needs met. It just shifts its focus. And what it does is it shifts its focus to psychological needs, to where we stack rank socially, you know, our social status, to looking at, you know, comparing to what you have and just fixating on that because it's more than what I have, and being like, oh my gosh, like that's what I need to get, you know? And so that understanding that is how it's wired, that goes back to, you know, one of the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism is like, life is suffering and the mind creates suffering. Well, this is really how it does it. It's not wired to look at everything that we have and feel gratitude for it. It's not wired to do that. It's wired to look at the gaps, the lack, to feed off of things like our fears and our insecurities, to drive us into this chronic survival state that we're in is really what we're in, right? If you think about what anxiety is. And so I think the opportunity for us is to recognize that it's, because I know a lot of people internalize that like, oh, I can't turn off my mind, or because of what I'm doing walking without headphones, I hear a lot people be like, oh, I could never do that. Like my mind goes crazy. I need something distracting me. And that's a problem. Is because people don't know how to navigate their inner world. And so they try to numb it, whether it's with drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, food, whatever. They try to avoid it, never bring it up, not talk about it, because it's this scary thing, this scary dark thing in the closet, right? And I think the opportunity is for us to learn how to do this inner work, right? Navigate this part of us. And it starts by understanding that we are not our mind. We are the ones that are simply witness to it. We are aware of what's going on. And our work is to like straighten those hooks. So not keep our hooks that attach to every thought and belief that go by. And that's kind of like the beginning, I would say, maybe the beginning of steps of starting to change our perspective and how we view, you know, the stuff that we're going through, and not buy into our mind or our beliefs when we say, you know, what I need is like this boat. I need this. I need whatever. And just allow those thoughts to pass. And you'll realize like, oh yeah, that actually wasn't even my thought. And because that's gone. No, I don't feel that anymore.
No.
You know, so I think I know it's kind of a simple way to look at it, but I think if we can understand where our minds are trying to drive us through, and there's a reason these cycles keep repeating, and that we can't be grateful for stuff. Even that guy who has 100,000 in his checking account, I guarantee if he gets $1 million in his checking account and it dips below $1 million, he'll feel the exact same way.
Yeah, because he's attached to it.
Yeah, because it's a product of the mechanism. It's not a product of what's going on on the outside.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing that and how accurate it portrays the realness of the problems that we have today in society. And what really troubles me is I don't think there's something drastic that can be done to change it.
Yeah.
I remember studying the Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
And he later came back and wrote, the step after that, and he launched another level, and then after that, he's like, it comes fall of mankind. And I was reading that, and I was like, wow, that's so true. Just looking at what the Roman Empire went through, and studying this, it doesn't take a genius really, or an Ivy League PhD professor to take a line and just drag it out over another 100 or 200 years, and seeing the decline just in society in regards to happiness and hard work and just general happiness.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at suicide rates, right? Looking at all these different variables, it's not promising. And I don't know if I'd go as far as Maslow did in his time in saying it's the fall of mankind, but I know it for sure. It has to bottom out.
Yeah.
It has to bottom out, and the only thing I can see, and kind of how I assess in most cases whether or not I'm going to allocate to help someone, is how much they want it. And I think that's where it starts.
Yeah.
Having an event or something trigger you in your life and realize like, wow, I really want change.
Yeah.
I remember reading a quote like, true change comes from when the pain you're suffering is greater than that which you're currently experiencing or wanting.
Yeah.
It's that turning point.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to sponsoring someone.
Yeah.
How bad do you want it?
Yeah.
I actually use it in investments too. Whenever people come and ask for an investment, I always ask, how much are you willing to sacrifice?
Yeah.
How many hours are you wanting to work?
Yeah.
I had an EA interview earlier this week, and I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, how many hours do you foresee yourself working? And he's like, well, I don't want to really work more than 40 hours a week. I'm like, it's gonna be a problem because I work 120 hours a week, and if you can't sacrifice and work the 120, we're just on different levels in our life. So I think the sooner someone can find, that moment of, hey, where will I be most happy? Not per definition of society today.
Yeah.
Not expectation, like you said, of what mom or dad or guardian said in the 3rd or 5th grade of what a grade should be like, but what do I truly want? I think a lot of people would be packing their bags and walking cross country.
Yeah.
I think there'd be a lot more hobby farms. I was really inspired by some relatives recently. They sold everything they had and started a little hobby farm.
Wow.
And I'm over here scratching my head. I'm like, you had a 6-figure corporate job. You had a 6-figure corporate job. Something every college student today wants.
Yeah.
And you guys gave that up for a hobby farm and living off of the land and selling eggs to pay the light bill. And I don't know how you guys are going to pay taxes, but seeing how happy they are, again, it makes me question, like, wow, maybe I need to start my hobby farm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's this awakening. I've heard it coined as like the Great Awakening, whatever that means or whatever it refers to.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I sense what it means, but it's kind of waking up to a lot of the mold that has been laid in front of people, and like how to live. You go to this school, you go to this job. I mean, you work this way, you do it for this much, you buy this house, you go into debt, you buy this, you invest here, you do this. And I heard this quote, I forget who said it, but it is like, if the path is clear, you're probably walking somebody else's path.
Ooh, I like that.
I was like, oh shit, that's good, dude. That's so good. And that's just what I think of. That was the path I was on.
It's so true.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, like, I don't think everybody has to divert from the path. I think there's plenty of people, like, people find happiness and joy and fulfillment in so many different ways.
Wow.
It doesn't have to come from whatever, XYZ. Everybody's so different. But, you know, I think to your point, it's helping people get back to like honoring that voice within them that says, you know what? I don't know why, but I can't get this idea out of my head, but like, I want to make hats with an umbrella on it, or, you know, or something, or like whatever the thing is. It's like honoring that voice within you that you just can't get rid of. And it's like, that's really where the magic is. You know, that's the part that I think you can't control. You know, that's like the essence of who you are. And the more people can start to listen to that in whatever capacity in their life, you know, the more like sparks they'll start to see.
My journey is, you know, I'm trying, my walk across America is to build this $1 billion company. I have so much fulfillment and joy doing it that when there's been times I've hired executives from Fortune 500 companies, and they come and they get so overwhelmed by the amount of pressure and stress we go through that they burn out and quit. They're like, wow, we can't do this. This is chaos. Versus other people that come and they thrive. They're like, let's go. It's so cool. We had an intern who actually is joining us full time from a prestigious university, and he's like, this is awesome. Like, this is what work should be like. And that's my 120 hours a week. For you, it sounds like it's walking across America and then taking an adventure van across America. Have you come across any other journeys, or do you feel like any journey can be that walk across America, or any journey can be that walk across America, so long as it's not clear and you're not walking or following someone else's footsteps?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good question. And I think I come back to that voice within. I like to give this example, right? Like, you probably have a favorite color.
Yes.
Maybe even a favorite band.
Yes.
Right? And I bet if I asked you why, like your band specifically, like you may be able to come up with all of these logical reasons or rational reasons. Oh, it's, you know, the guy who plays guitar shreds, you know, or they put on an incredible concert like nothing I've ever seen. It's this crazy light show. Like it's when the beat drops, it's whatever. The drummer's incredible, or, you know, they're from my hometown or whatever, right? It's all just story. But if I asked you, okay, I want you to change your favorite band. Of course not. You can't do that, right? Or change your favorite color. Instead of being, you know, this shade of red, like it's got to be yellow now moving forward. You're like, no, Tim, that's the dumbest thing. That's not how it works. The essence behind what, like, your favorite color and your favorite band, right? That essence of like, you don't know where it came from. You just what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. You don't know where that came from. You know, it's like you just like blue more than other colors. Yeah. And I've met somebody who like loved like emerald green. I'm like, that's crazy and amazing, and I love that. Yeah. You know, I dated a girl once who like loved yellow. I'm like,
who likes yellow?
I don't like yellow, but I love that you love that. Yeah. You know, that essence, right, is the special juice, is the fabric, is the intelligence. I think the creative intelligence that drives every human being. Yeah. Right. And so, to me, is like that feeling, that thing, whatever we want to call it, is what we're after. And so that's why the walk across America for everybody's walk can look totally different. Because for somebody, it could just be painting watercolors in the evenings, because that fucking lights them up. Yes. You know, it can be traveling the world. You know, it can be coaching a kid's baseball team. Yeah. You know, it can literally be anything, but we can't mentally come up with it. Meaning, like, we can't sit and sure, doing some lists and stuff can help guide us towards that, but it's something that comes from in here really from your gut. Right? That it's almost like an intuition type of feeling. Like the part where you're like, I don't like the reason I started a clothing company. I was like, I don't know why, but I can't get this idea of making workout shorts out of my head for like 5 years. Wow. It kept coming back up, and I would try and rationalize myself out of it. It's dumb. Clothing's not super profitable. I'm like, you just make an app and sell it for $1 billion. That was literally the conversation that was going on in my head for 5 years. And of course, once I listened to it, like all this other stuff I've been doing in life and my next business and stuff like completely opened up. But it never would have happened if I didn't honor that. You know, I've used the term essence a lot, like, because I just like that term. I think it describes it well, but where that is coming from. So I think anything could be somebody's walk, but it comes from that place deep within.
Yeah, that's powerful. I really appreciate you taking the time and connecting with me.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
I feel like there's so many things that I've taken away and I've just learned listening to your story. And I really hope that everyone that hears this and continues to follow your journey and story, that it really helps them realize that it's okay. You know, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Your life is okay, regardless of how many zeros your bank account has.
Yeah.
Like, just stop. Like, if you have to reset and start over. I remember when I did it first time was out of college. My wife and I we didn't know what to do. And we just felt kind of lost. And so what we did was we actually, we were in apartments, so we didn't have to sell our home. So we got rid of the apartment, sold our car, sold all of our belongings. We were left with 2 suitcases. And we went to my home country of Ukraine and spent a month traveling Ukraine.
Wow.
No plans,
Yeah.
no home, no car.
Wow. That's amazing.
And towards the end of the trip, we're like, I would say we were probably seconds away from like, we're just gonna live in the village of Ukraine. Like,
Yeah.
This is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
we're so free. This is our blue. This is our yellow.
Yeah.
But then reality came back, and we're like, okay, what do we set our journey? What is our journey across America?
Yeah.
And we had a vision of starting a business, building it, selling it, and going full time into philanthropy.
Yeah.
And so this is our walk.
Yeah.
Selling the business and going and doing our philanthropy is you probably in your adventure van.
Yeah.
And going through all these seasons of life. And I think what I really want people to take away from this conversation is that reset moment. It might involve putting everything in a storage unit, selling everything like I did,
Yeah.
and just go walk across America, go tour Europe,
Yeah.
go travel across South Africa.
The thing you always wanted to do.
Yeah.
But you made up so many reasons why you couldn't. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is like people talk about risk, and it's like my first answer to someone that says it's risky is, well, you text and drive, and I'm yet to have anyone that says no. Everyone says
Yeah.
yes. I'm like, well, I remember AT&T did this documentary, and a local organization came to our high school, and they wheeled in an empty casket into the middle of the high school auditorium where there was 800 plus kids.
Wow.
And they opened the casket, and the big sign said, "This can be you." And they played this documentary where it stated that you have a 50-50 chance of arriving alive if you text and drive.
Wow.
And to this day, it's been like 15 years, and I still vividly remember this moment. And I say, you're telling me you will risk your life, the life of your spouse and your children, to text and drive and possibly not arrive alive, but you don't want to do X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
It's like insane. We take these sandbags or these hooks and we tie ourselves down to the ground in depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
And then on top of all of that, we'll flip a coin. The young man, the business owner that came and said he gets anxiety less than 100,000. I have a big coin in my office that our governor gave to me, and I give people this coin. I'm like, flip this coin. Heads, you survive today. Tails, you die today.
Yeah.
He's holding this coin. I can see his hand shake. He's like, I'm not gonna flip it. I'm like, why not? You're doing it every day.
Yeah.
You might as well do it. Do you not believe in, or do you believe in superstition?
Yeah.
I don't believe in superstition, but I still won't flip the coin, even though I
Yeah.
don't believe in superstition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every day we take these risks, but we're just so acclimated, so like immune to it.
Yeah.
It's like almost disgusting how
Yeah.
I don't know if deceived is the right word, or lied to.
Yeah.
In conclusion, what would you say to inspire someone to stop flipping the coin, unhook themselves, untie themselves, and just go pursue their favorite color?
Yeah. I think risk is all about perspective as well. You know, you look at the opposite side is like how much risk, like you're betting on your whole life to do shit that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So what's the risk of not taking the action, right? And it's not, you don't have to decide to start, this company right now. It's like really all you have to do is listen to that feeling within. Like that's the next thing. And, I know a lot of people have to get to a low point in order to do that. I know I did, right? I had to get to a point where I was like, enough. I can't keep going down this road because it's not working.
Yeah.
And, so I think just looking at not taking your mind's definition of what risk is and allowing yourself to see the opposite side. What is really the risk if I don't do it? I miss out on life. It goes by in a blink. I didn't enjoy it. I did shit my whole life I didn't want to do. And
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening in. And if you want to continue to follow Tim's journey, in the description below, you will find links to his LinkedIn and Threads. That's where he posts the most right now. I recommend, I'm a LinkedIn guy, so it sounds like you're daily posting, and that's very inspiring. You're able to connect with him there. He does respond to most of his comments and DMs, so make sure you comment, DM, and support him. And if you want to continue to hear these awesome podcasts, we need people to interview. And so drop in the comment section who you want to see next in this podcast, and I'd love to feature and share your story as well. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share this with someone that you think needs to hear it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.